Hi, folks. Robert Quigley here, Washington, D.C., the Money Pit Group. Today, we're going to do Quigley's Believe It or Not, gun control. Believe it or not, gun control is both impossible and highly dangerous in the United States. Let's go through it. How many guns and related weapons are there in the United States? Well, unfortunately, the answer to that question is only known by the creator of the universe, God himself, or the universe. But we can easily guess and probably underestimate with a informed guess by many factors. We've got 330 million people in the United States. I would guess, based upon a lifetime's experience, that on average, each person in this country owns roughly 8 to 10, maybe 12 guns each. That's just an average. So if we take 330 million, multiply that number by 10, we've got at least 3.3 billion guns within the civilian population of the United States. Clearly, the likelihood of taking that quantity of guns, 3.3 billion, out of the hands of the civilians in the United States is darn next to impossible, and it would likely cause a civil war. So what is the problem? Is the problem the gun, or is the problem a corrosive society? We'll come back to that in a minute. Armed civilians are needed to defend the country. If we look at the country's defense posture, we must keep in mind that at the top of the pyramid is the military. We're talking about Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. Beneath that, we have each state's National Guard. Beneath that, we have the police. Beneath that, we have the citizenry all across the country. And each one of those groups has enormous firepower. The military is the strongest on the planet. We have enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world 100 times over. The amount of firepower in this country is just unbelievably awesome. Not that I'm trying to glorify it. I'm just simply saying there are a lot of guns. There's a lot of firepower in the United States. Now, assume for a moment, let's ask ourselves a question. Would an unarmed United States be able to survive? My answer to that question, again, based upon a lifetime's worth of observation, is probably not. Highly unlikely that the United States would survive in its current form. In the very least, it would disintegrate into a number of independent countries. If we weren't armed, believe me, everybody south of the border, every dictator and military general and a group with firearms would very much like to take bits and pieces of the United States. So without an armed citizenry, without an armed country, America has no choice, has no ability to survive. So we turn the page in this gun control issue, and we have to ask ourselves, what is causing the school violence, the mass shootings, and the general assaults on innocents? Because at this point in time, it's becoming a weekly event. Every time you turn on your news, some group of folks somewhere have been slaughtered. On the one hand, are we seeing human DNA degrading? That's kind of a half joke, but one wonders. On the other side of the coin, are we just simply looking at Me Too attitudes? people copying each other. First, we had one crazy shooter years and years ago who decides to take out a large contingent of students at a high school, and then it just spreads. Dig a little bit deeper into that group of shooters. What do we find? Well, one thing we find is untreated mental disabilities. Most of the time, we're finding broken families. We're also finding families on the financial edge. We have unsupervised and unfamily kids that are ending up as shooters. Another way to describe this is the shooters are very often youngsters on the margin. Kids are brutally honest. Many kids are uncomfortably sensitive. Let's dig a little bit deeper. 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Out of those families that end in divorce, most are ungrounded families. So you see the dichotomy that I'm putting up. We've got a large number of guns that will never go away in America. So it's unrealistic to try to legislate the guns out of existence. There are stashes in basements, in mountainsides, in cellars, behind walls. It's impossible. Guns are not leaving America. They are so entrenched in the American society that we might as well put that idea to rest. But we do have a problem with the family. We have a problem with the shooters. We have a problem with community, with village. Now, these things we can change. We can strengthen U.S. families. We can create multi-generational, stronger families. Think about this point I'm about ready to make, because there's a clear line. I've seen it my entire life. If this country is going to run politics of hate, that's going to lead to families of hate, which is going to lead to hating individuals, which, as we see, quickly descends into crime and mayhem. So the answer ultimately is to ferret out and heal the wounds of those that grieve. Folks, you know we're headed to the White House. That's my take on gun control. We, as an independent, we must be very pragmatic in our solutions, in our views of the world, and that's the way it is. Subscribe to the channel, add your comments below, join the conversation. Until next time.